Hello, good night everyone, and welcome again to another short video of mine. Today I will talk a little bit about something that I actually read on Twitter, and I thought I'll probably just mention to you guys as well. There was an article on Twitter from that I read from Vanuatu Daily. And this in regards to the current MACFest, or Melanesian Arts and Culture Festival, that is going on right now in Port Vila, Vanuatu. The article actually mentioned about the Indonesian delegation that are currently there. And I find it hard to believe that Indonesia was not even invited to that Melanesian Arts and Culture Festival. And the question is, how did they go there? When they're not invited, who actually asked them to go there? So, as we all know, that the Melanesian Arts and Culture Festival, it's mainly for the Melanesian peoples living in Melanesian countries, and including peoples of West Papua who are currently being colonized by Indonesia. So when I read the article, it mentioned about the security of the Indonesian delegation is not guaranteed because according to the report, it was mentioned that the public in Vanuatu were not happy about the delegation from Indonesia participating in this Melanesian Arts and Culture Festival. So we all know MACFest, or the Melanesian Arts and Culture Festival. It's mainly for Melanesians in Melanesian country to come in and showcase their unique Melanesian arts and cultures that would include the dances and the various performance. And surprisingly, there was a delegation from Indonesia that participated as well. And now we've read from the report, it clearly stated that they were not invited. So who actually invited them to go to Vanuatu? And it's really shameful when you're not even invited and you just force yourself to go over to a Melanesian country in the Pacific. So as you all know that West Papua should have been invited to participate. However, what we've seen is that the delegation that came, they're mainly some artists being selected to represent Indonesia. They claim themselves to be Papuans, but in fact, in their hearts, they're not indigenous Papuans. And there are some people that live in Jakarta, and the Indonesian government decided to send them over. And you can see from the performance that they did, there was a, angry body language from the public in Vanuatu, expressing their dislike to the presence and even to the performance. It doesn't. I actually saw the videos about some of the performances they did. Was very, very horrible. It was all wrong, and it doesn't suit, or it's not. If you look at the original videos or dances done by the indigenous peoples of West Papua, you can feel that they say a live and kind of like something that will motivate you to watch, and you kind of like connect to what they do, or the dance that they do. So in this case, you feel that anger. It's not in tune, and the dance was horrible, and people actually, making comments, and from what I heard as well was they were performing, and then somehow the people were getting angry and making all these negative comments towards them, and then they left the area, and they went to a local to a coffee shop or something. So, and this is the reaction from the public in Vanuatu, that they're not happy with the presence of Indonesian Indonesians in Vanuatu, because they were expecting Melanesian peoples of West Papua to participate, to come in and showcase their unique Melanesian arts and cultures, and the people over there wanted to see them, but that wasn't the case. The people of West Papua were represented by some local, some overseas artists, singers, songwriters like the Black Sisters, and also the team members from Sorong Samurai campaign. They were actually members from West Papua, which is from the top of the island of New Guinea, Sorong, and Samurai, which is towards the tip of the island of New Guinea in Papua New Guinea. So they kind of like combined together under the spirit of Papua Merdeka, and they went and performed. And the reaction from the public was just unbelievable. They actually liked the performance. So, but I come back again, like I'm just going to make mention again about the presence of Indonesian delegation. You can see that they are not invited, and they kind of like, they just force themselves to come to Vanuatu, and you can see the reaction from the public in Vanuatu. They're not happy with the presence of Indonesian delegation. So that means that Indonesia is not welcome in Melanesia, in the Pacific. And we all understand that West Papua is vying to become a full member of MSG, the Melanesian Spirit Group. And I think they should be given the opportunity to become a full member, because that will give the West Papuan leaders the opportunity to table very important issues about what's happening in West Papua that the world needs to know. Because all this time, all these years, the voice of West Papuan people have been silent by the Indonesian government. All the freedom of expression, the freedom of movement, assembly has been sort of closed to them. It's not being open. It's sort of being suppressed. And they do not have that room to freely express themselves. So for West Papua to become a member of MSG, become a full member, is very, very important, because from that, Indonesia and West Papua can sit together, and in front of the Melanesian leaders, West Papua can explain to the leaders of MSG, and including the Pacific, about what's really happening to them inside West Papua. And we all know one of the key issues that the West Papuan people also will talk about is the creation of these new provinces, because it has a very bad impact on the indigenous population, especially indigenous Papuan, who are already marginalized on their own land. And the current data that we have, it states that the West Papuan population is not more than 2 million. And this is very concerning. If you compare the population of West Papua and Papua New Guinea during the early years in the 60s, they were kind of like within the same range, about 1 million. But after 60 plus years, Papua New Guinea has actually reached, the population of Papua New Guinea has actually reached around 9 million plus, while West Papua is still below 2 million. So this is concerning, because the report by the UN Special Advisor on Prevention of Genocide has actually mentioned some very critical or compelling truth about what's happening right now in West Papua, where there is ongoing systematic genocide being carried out by Indonesian government against the Melanesian peoples of West Papua. And this is like a wake-up call for the leaders of our region, especially the Pacific, to take the matter of West Papua, take this issue to UN, to have West Papua be put back on the UN decolonization list so that West Papuan people can be given the opportunity to decide what is actually best for them. So I'm just going to mention a little bit about the UN Resolution 2504. So this resolution talks about, it's basically came about because of the 1969 Act of Free Choice. So it's like a fake referendum that was conducted by the Indonesian government and also supervised by the UN officials over there. So that referendum did not follow the international system of voting, where you have all the adults over the age of 18 would participate in the referendum. According to the reports that we have seen, the referendum was done according to the Indonesian system of voting. So what they did was they went and selected 1,025 people. So from the evidence now that we have seen, out of those 1,025 people, only 400 were actually indigenous Papuans. They actually black Melanesian peoples of West Papua. They were indigenous. And the rest were Indonesians that participated in that referendum. Imagine this is a referendum about deciding the future of a country, and the Papuans were not given that opportunity. So Indonesian military during the time went and selected about 1,025 people, and out of that 1,025 people, only 400 were actually indigenous peoples of West Papua. They are actually Melanesian peoples. The rest were Indonesians that have moved across to West Papua and lived there. And this is a serious violation. Actually, it actually breached the UN Charter, especially the system of voting, where you need to have only the indigenous people of the land to participate in that referendum. So the whole process was in breach of UN laws, where only adult people over the age of 18 from the area must participate. But in this case, the West Papuans were never given the opportunity. So there wasn't any referendum in West Papua during the time. So how did they come up with the UN Resolution 2504? And the people of West Papua are calling on UN to have that to revoke that resolution because they never participated in the referendum. So from the actual data that we have seen now, only 400 out of 1,025 people that participated, only 400 were indigenous Papuans. So this is a call, a wake-up call for the United Nations to, and also for leaders within our region to support the case of West Papua. And Papuans, indigenous Papuans, must be given the opportunity to participate in a fair and democratic process of referendum. In this case, I think Indonesia has committed systematic genocide and has created miseries and pain across the entire people of West Papua, and there's no need for referendum. What the Indonesian government needs to do is simply give the Papuans West Papua back to indigenous Papuans, and let them govern and rule their own country, because their genuine referendum have actually filed, and Indonesia has committed or has committed serious human rights violations, where what we have seen from the reports from UN has estimated that over 500,000 indigenous Papuans have been killed. So I don't think there's a need for a referendum. What Indonesian and UN should at least give the Papuans, West Papua, back to the people of West Papua, and let them govern their own country, and let them be leaders on their own land. And I think it's best that they can decide what is best for their own people. Currently under Indonesian colonial rule and occupation, the people of West Papua do not have any future. What we have seen is violence, killings, and rape and destruction of indigenous land, forests being committed by Indonesian government against the indigenous peoples of West Papua. This must be stopped immediately. So thank you once again for your attention, and thank you for those who continue to support the people of West Papua. We will continue to update you all, and so that we cannot lose sight of what's happening in West Papua. We need to update the international community and also our leaders here in our region, because currently, as you all know, there is a media ban, and the media foreign media, international media and journalists can't go to West Papua. So we as individuals, especially those who value lives and respect for humanity, who have access to media, or who have access to freedom of speech and movement, and can use that opportunity to speak for our people who are currently being suppressed and intimidated, and they do not have the voice to freely speak about what is going on right now, what is affecting their lives. So we, as concerned citizens around the world, must speak, must defend the rights of the people of West Papua. So once again, thank you for watching my video, and we will keep on updating you all in regards to West Papua. Thank you, and God bless.